Morning, everyone. News out. No oil pipeline on the list of projects of national interest. And it seems the problem here is that no private company has raised a finger to show interest, and that is a bit of a concern. For those of you who don't know, to qualify as a project of national interest, three things have to line up. One, the provincial government has to be ready to approve and go ahead quickly. Two, the federal government is now in a position to take that go ahead and move it forward on the national level. And crucially, three, the private sector has to be prepared to step up, because the federal government does not want to foot the entire bill. That's not just pipelines, that's everything, every national project, every project of national interest, I should say. Just for my personal take here, I'm a supporter of pipelines. The pure and simple reason is I think Canada is too dependent on the United States. Several years ago, I don't think that would have been a problem, but we live in a changing world. Situations changed. We think of tariffs, we think of threats, we think of changing political situations, with the changing global dynamic. It's a bit dangerous now for Canada to have all its eggs in one basket. And it needs to diversify to ship power out, not just north-south, but also east and west. That includes Europe, and that includes, obviously, Asia. I'm from Europe, so it's quite important for me. The EU needs to diversify itself away from Russia, for whom it is far too dependent, and it's very, very dangerous. So Canada is in a reasonable position to be able to provide things like liquefied natural gas, which I think is important. So again, it's disappointing that there are no pipelines on the list. Obviously, Alberta's not very happy about this, which makes complete sense. Quite frankly, under Justin Trudeau, an entire set of anti-industrial policies were introduced, and that baggage is still there. For example, Bill C-69, Bill C-48. Just to give you an idea what these are, Bill C-69 effectively made it almost impossible to build a pipeline without express permission from Ottawa, and Bill C-48, which effectively made it illegal for oil tankers to ship things out of British Columbia, which makes it very, very hard if you want to ship oil to, say, Asia, which is a major, major market. Danielle Smith has been pretty clear on this. Her office put it very bluntly: until these policies are changed, modified, or reversed, we will not attract the capital needed to keep the energy industry competitive and growing globally. And just after the last federal election, she warned Ottawa directly, quote, the absence of a pipeline on the initial list will perpetuate the current investment uncertainty and send a sobering signal to Albertans concerned about Ottawa's commitment on national unity. And to be perfectly frank, especially given the fact there is a growing independence movement in Alberta, she definitely has a point. Now, it is entirely possible, but the reason why the Carney government is doing this is because they want to reassure their left side. Obviously, quite frankly, the Liberals got a lot of their votes from the Bloc Québécois and the MDP. In Quebec, they're very anti-pipeline. That is slowly starting to change. I think the threats from the south have made Quebecers, I think, rightly more open to more large-scale industrial projects like pipelines going across the province. Although you don't need to do that, there are other ways you can get the oil out to the east. However, that will more than likely be the argument pushed by the Conservatives. They'll effectively say, look, they're still a Trudeau party, they're still owned by Trudeau loyalists, and that Carney doesn't really have a leg to stand on, that Carney has nowhere to move on this. I don't think that's true. I think there's just a longer and larger political conversation needs to be had about figuring out what needs to happen for the private sector to be able to get involved and to be able to sort of, start introducing the cash to pay for this. How long that'll take, I don't know. Obviously, I would have loved to, quite frankly, have seen a pipeline within the first list. There's been a lot of talk about it. I know Doug Ford has said that, listen, it makes sense to kind of give Alberta this because I think it's worth their while, but we'll see. As I said, though, for me personally, a bit disappointing. I was kind of hoping to see this, but we have some time left, and hopefully we'll see in the next round. Okay, everyone, thanks very much. Again, if you've made it this far, do not forget to like and subscribe, and do not forget to check out the rest of my channel. Thanks very much.